one. In the Dwapara Yuga, in the same clan, one set of cousins, Pandavas, were the good ones, and the next set of cousins, Kauravas, were the evil ones. There was war between the two different groups, but in the Kali Yuga, in each and every one of us, good and evil exists, and it keeps changing minute by minute. So there is a constant war going on within us. Do not despair. Bhagavan has promised that to establish righteousness, He would be there. So in the Kali Yuga, He has to be always there with us. What other vibhuti can we get from Bhagavan? What other invaluable wealth, precious wealth, can we inherit from Him? In the 1940s, in the Kuppam village in Andhra Pradesh, there was a family which was completely devoted to Bhagavan Sri Sathya Sai Baba and spent long periods of time at a stretch in Puttaparthi, soaking in His divinity and also learning invaluable life lessons. One day, as all of them were stringing Tulasi garland, Bhagavan called one of the Kuppam daughters, Vijay Kumari Amma, and asked her to bring a pen and a paper. Vijay Amma was in the habit of writing copious notes of all her interactions with Bhagavan and also the experiences of all the devotees gathered there at Puttaparthi. So she rushed to get her journal out. Swami very lovingly dictated a beautiful song to her. In this song, he describes what his mission is, what is his URL, or how do you connect to him, what are the benefits of connecting to him, and how do you stay connected to him all the time. And at the end, he says how to become an instrument. In today's program, we would weave in stories from Tapovanam and Satyanarayana Sai Katha in between the verses of this beautiful song, celestial song given by Swami. In the first few verses of this song, Bhagavan says, I am the formless one, but I have taken this form and I am dressed in this orange robe and I am moving among all of my devotees in Puttaparthi so that you could all comprehend the incomprehensible. There is only one mission for me, that is to liberate all of you from the cycles of birth and death.
Murare Sudatulara Sai Babano Shuta Murare Sudatulara Sai Babano Niluvangi Todagunata Nilipita Barudata
In the Ratnakara family, there was a distinguished soul, an ardent devotee of Lord Vishnu in the name of Kondamaraju. Kondamaraju was well versed in the scriptures of Sri Mahabharata and Sri Ramayana, and he was extremely fond of singing those beautiful verses. His wife, Lakshmamma, was the perfect match to him in her devotion to the Lord. Both of them had 2 handsome sons. In that lineage of Ratnakara family, there was an enlightened soul in the name of Venkavaduta. Venkavaduta wore a perpetual smile on his face all the time. Nobody knew where he was coming from, or when he would come, or where he was going to. Whenever he touched anyone's head, they could absolutely feel the spiritual bliss. In honor of such an enlightened soul, Kondamaraju named both the sons Venkamaraju, the older one as Bedda Venkamaraju and the younger one as the Chinna Venkamaraju. Both the sons were as good at devotional singing as their father. In due course, Bedda Venkamaraju was married to Namagiri from Misragandha family in Karnatanagapalli across from Puttaparthi on the banks of the Chitravati river. For some reason, Kondamaraju quite didn't like the name Namagiri, so he named her Ishwaramma. It not only was extremely appropriate, but it proved to be prophetic. Bedda Venkamaraju and Ishwaramma had 3 kids, Seshammaraju, Venkamma and Parvatamma. After that, Ishwaramma had 4 miscarriages, and Lakshmamma was very concerned for Ishwaramma's health. One day, Lakshmamma saw Ishwaramma lying next to the well, unconscious. With Lakshmamma's prayers and first aid efforts, Ishwaramma regained consciousness. When Lakshmamma asked Ishwaramma as to why she fell unconscious all of a sudden, Ishwaramma explained that a big blue ball of divine light descended from the skies and went straight into her womb. And then Ishwaramma fell unconscious. Lakshmamma knew that something magnificent was about to happen. She warned Ishwaramma not to breathe a word about this to anyone. And Ishwaramma did not speak about this to anyone until Swami asked her to explain to Shankar Venkataraman Sharma as to whether his birth was through advent or through consummation. As Ishwaramma was nearing the 9th month, musical notes were playing in the household. The musical instruments were playing on their own accord. The veena would twang, the cymbals would clang. The household members were delighted to hear this heavenly music, but were concerned at the same time and wondering where this music was coming from. Bedda Venkamaraju went to the nearby Bukkapatnam village and consulted an astrologer. After looking into the nadis, the treaties, the astrologer asked if there was a pregnant woman in the household, and when Bedda Venkamaraju answered in affirmative, the astrologer explained that the celestial beings were playing those beautiful musical notes for the enjoyment of the baby in the womb. Ishwaramma one day was having labor pain, and on that day, Lakshmamma was attending a Satyanarayana puja at a nearby Pandit's home. Lakshmamma didn't want to get home until she got the prasad from the Satyanarayana puja. So as soon as the puja was over, she took the prasad and rushed home to take care of Ishwaramma. Some time back, when Venkavaduta was discussing the scriptures with Kondamaraju in the banana plantation, all of a sudden, he abruptly stopped his conversation. Kondamaraju asked him as to why he suddenly stopped. Venkavaduta asked him if Kondamaraju could hear the Mother Earth weeping, the Mother Earth sobbing. And he said, the prayers of the saints, sages, and the renunciates are about to be fulfilled. He held Kondamaraju's hand and said, you will be witnessing this beautiful avatar in this lifetime for sure. Take my word for it. Can Venkavaduta's words ever go wrong? It was November 23rd, 1926. The year of the bountiful, Akshaya, the month of lights, Kartika, the star of compassion, Arudra. After Ishwaramma took the prasad from the Satyanarayana Puja, Bhagavan, out of his immense compassion and love for all the beings, reincarnated again as baby Satyanarayana. The baby was extremely handsome. The baby had a mole on his cheek, left cheek, and had a big mole on his bosom in the shape of a Srivatsa Abharana. On his feet, he had the signs of Shankha and Chakra.
बार बार प्रभु जन्म लिया,
बार बार प्रभु जन्म लिया,
बार बार प्रभु जन्म लिया,
प्रभु जन्म लिया,
श्री मधुसूदन जन्म लिया,
जन्म लिया, Lakshmama wrapped the handsome baby in palm leaves, as tradition in those days would demand, and left the baby in the corner of the delivery room. When she looked at the baby after some time, she saw the sheets under the baby moving. She rushed, lifted up the baby, and to her utter shock, she saw a cobra, a coiled cobra, under the sheets of Satyam. It's true that there is no dearth of snakes in Puttaparthi, but it was totally unheard of that a snake would enter the delivery room. The members of the household were extremely worried about Satyam. By the time they calmed down and looked for the snake, they could not find the snake anywhere. Perhaps Lord Adisesha felt lonely in Vaikuntha that he descended down to give company to his Lord, Satya Narayana. The people in the village loved to spend time with Satyam. They wanted to hold him, caress him, and cuddle him. Very much like in the Krishna Avatara, how the gopis pined to be with the darling little Krishna. Satyam's neighbor was Karnam Subbamma, and she was a very pious lady. Whenever Subbamma would lift up Satyam, he would have a beautiful glow on his face. He was extremely comfortable at Subbamma's house, in fact, much more than in his own household. The villagers noticed this and remarked that Ishwaramma was a Devaki and Subbamma was the foster mother, Yashoda. Every day, Subbamma and Ishwaramma would sit outside on the portico and watch little Satyam play with his friends. Satyam would blindfold himself and play hide and seek with his friends. And that would be about the time when the cattle would return after pasture. The animals would be agitated, so Ishwaramma would be always concerned for her little darling Satyam's safety, and Subbamma would ensure her that nothing untoward would ever happen to Satyam. As the agitated animals, unruly animals would pass by Satyam, Satyam would touch them. And by just the mere touch, the animals would become docile. Isn't it true that whenever we are in the presence of Bhagavan, all our animal instincts disappear? Satyam used to collect all his friends and sing bhajans. He formed a group called Panduranga Bhajan Mandali. There was epidemics rampant in the nearby villages, but Puttaparthi had no epidemics, and they attributed this phenomena to the bhajans rendered by the Panduranga Bhajan Mandali. So the nearby villages requested Satyam to go to their villages to sing bhajans, and in due course, the epidemics disappeared from those villages as well. Thus, Satyam granted peace, Shanti, to all living beings that were around him. One day, a jeep stopped by in front of Satyam's house, and the driver wanted Satyam to accompany him to the jungle where the driver's master, Hunter, was stuck. Satyam got into the jeep and went to the jungle. Upon entering the jungle, he saw the hunter proudly stroking the dead tigress. Satyam could see the two orphaned tiger cubs looking for the mother all over. He approached the hunter and said, "Who gave you the right to kill an animal for pleasure? What did this poor animal do to you? Do you now realize that you have orphaned 2 tiger cubs? Take them and entrust them with a zookeeper. If you ever want to shoot, shoot with your camera and not with a gun." Saying thus, Satyam touched the hunter's vehicle and it sprang to life. A few weeks later, the hunter visited with Satyam and he gave a token of gratitude to Satyam for having taught him the lesson, the invaluable lesson of non-violence, ahimsa. He gave Satyam a footrest made out of a tiger skin, and even today you could see that at Prashanti Nilayam. When Satyam was in middle school, the physical education teacher organized a scout troop to help out with the festivities of the Pushpagiri temple festival. Satyam did not join the scout troop because he couldn't afford to pay the fees. He woke up very early that day morning and walked several kilometers to get to the Pushpagiri temple. Upon getting to the temple, he heard bhajans being sung by several devotees. Vittala, Vittala, Hari Vittala. Vittala, Vittala, Pankajo, Hari Vittala. Panduranga Vittala, Vittala, Vittala Naam. Vittala, Vittala Naam Bhajo, Hari Vittala. Vittala, Vittala, Hari Vittala. Hari, 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 Vittala, Vittala, Hari Vittala. Vittala, Vittala, Hari Vittala. Vittala, Vittala, Naam Bhajo, Hari Vittala. Due to the bhajans that were happening there, the whole place was charged up with divine energy. Satyam registered himself as a volunteer to help out, and he was given 3 responsibilities. The first one was to unite the missing children with their parents. Satyam carried out this task extremely well, very much like how Bhagavan, our father and mother, brings us back to him whenever we stray away from him. The second task that he was given was to provide water to all the pilgrims gathered there. Of course, Satyam carried out this task in an exemplary manner. And this was the precursor to how Bhagavan has provided drinking water to the Rayalaseema region, comprising of 750 villages and 11 towns, flowing drinking water through 2,500 kilometers of water pipe. The next task that he was given was to fulfill any medical needs of the pilgrims. Satyam, with a cheerful attitude and a smile on his face, and of course with a healing touch, fulfilled all their medical needs. Again, this was a precursor to the super speciality hospitals Bhagavan has built in Puttaparthi and Vrindavan, serving anyone and everyone free of charge the medical services that they need. Thus, through Satyam, through Seva, Satyam expressed unconditional love to all the devotees gathered at the festival. When Satyam was in high school, the headmaster planned a fundraiser for the school, and a renowned dancer, Rishendramani, was supposed to dance for the program. But at the last minute, for some odd reason, she couldn't make it to the program. The headmaster was in a deep fix. He didn't want to postpone or cancel the program because the flyers had already gone out and the tickets had been sold. Satyam approached the headmaster at the time and told him that Satyam could dance in the place of Rishendramani. During those days, Rishendramani's well-known act was to keep a plate on her head and a bottle, and while dancing, she would pick up a handkerchief with her mouth from the floor. And Satyam told the headmaster that he could dance with a plate and a bottle on his head and then pick a needle with his eyelid from the floor instead of the kerchief. The headmaster was extremely delighted. Satyam got dressed as a woman and he wore a big pigtail, and as he got onto the stage, he made beautiful sound with the bells, and the audience reached a totally different plane. As promised, Satyam had a bottle on his head and a plate and danced. While dancing, he picked the needle with his eyelid. The audience went into raptures, and at the end of the program, there was a collector who was presiding the program, and he wanted to give a medal to Rishendramani, and he wanted to wear it on her neck. But Rishendramani, even though Satyam was fulfilling the role of Rishendramani, it was not the proper dharma to accept a medal from a man. So he took it in his hand. The next day, the school board council wanted to honor Rishendramani for her wonderful performance the previous day and called for Rishendramani to come onto stage. Satyam rushed to the stage and the guards stopped him. The headmaster explained to the guards that yesterday's Rishendramani was none other than Satyam. When Satyam came onto the stage, the council member was extremely appreciative of Satyam's talent as a dancer, but she wanted to honor Satyam more for his duty to save the school from bad name. And the council member honored Satyam for Satyam having fulfilled his dharma, his duty as a student. When Satyam was in high school, he lived in Urvakanda with his brother Seshamaraju. Seshamaraju always felt that Satyam was a very odd boy. He could not understand Satyam's behavior. He thought maybe some evil spirits possessed him, and that's why he was all the time lost and talking to himself and saying that Devatas are here, take Aarti. So they took him to an exorcist who was adept at driving evil spirits. The exorcist made cuts on Satyam's scalp and in the wound poured onion juice and lemon juice. As blood was oozing out of those wounds, the exorcist poured 101 pots of water. And Satyam's face bulged into enormous proportions. The family could not bear to see the torture that Satyam was going through, even though Satyam not a single time complained about it. When one Harikatha exponent was narrating this incident, Swami stopped him and said, Bangaru, it's so painful to listen to this. Do you really have to say all of this? Later, Sri Kasturi asked Bhagwan as to why he went through the torture if it was too painful to even listen to. Bhagwan explained to him that he had to establish to everyone that he was beyond the body and the mind. He also wanted to be a very good role model, practicing forbearance. Thus, Satyam not only practiced these human values, but he was the very embodiment of these human values. Bhagavan says, without Satya, Dharma, Shanti and Prema, education is empty. Without Satya, Dharma, Shanti and Prema, all charities and donations have no value. Without Satya, Dharma, Shanti and Prema, all spirituality is pointless. Satya, Dharma, Shanti, Prema and Ahimsa, the Sanatana Dharma's pillars, are the very life of human beings. This is the first stepping stone to getting liberation. When Satyam was in high school, one day he returned halfway from school and threw away his bags and books. He said, Maya has left me now. My devotees are waiting for me. Satyam's sister-in-law peeped out of the window, and she was almost blinded by the effulgence emanating from Satyam. In the meantime, Seshamma Raju and his neighbor Narayana Shastri came out to see what was going on. And Narayana Shastri, understanding Satyam's divinity and seeing a bright halo, fell at his feet. Oblivious to all of the things, Satyam proceeded to the neighbor's garden and sat on a rock. He had several of his devotees gathered there and gave the first bhajan to the whole world, Manasa Bhajare. In this bhajan, he says, if you want to be liberated, if you want to swim across the ocean of samsara, you have to hold on to your Guru.
Manasa Bhajore Guru Charanam, Dusar Bhava Sagar Taranam, Guru Maharaj, Guru Jai Jai, Sainath Sadguru Jai Jai, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Shivaya Namah Om. Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Aruna Shiva. Omkaram Bhava, Omkaram Bhava, Omkaram Bhava, Om Namo Bhava.
Bhagwan gave us the stepping stones to get liberated. In the next few verses of the celestial song given to Vijayamma, Bhagwan says how to connect to him, or what is his URL. He says, my primary domain is Puttaparthi. But if you are not able to go there, you could go to Shiradi. But if you are not able to connect to either one of the forms or not able to go there, you could connect to me if you worship Lord Shiva, Lord Rama, or Lord Krishna. If you are not able to connect to any of these forms, you can chant my name, or better yet, you can sing bhajans. Bhajans are like the 4 chains that are the strong ones that are attached to my swing, and they are permanently connected to me. Chitravati Tiramandu Chirukonda Shivarayandu Pativasa Pratyakshamu Padupure Tudachupunata Shiradi Vasudata Chinni Sai Shudata Hastalagava Munnadata Adukunali Ichurata Shivarama Krishnudata Chindulandu Marudata Swarupamu Atadata Sadbhaktulaku Chupunata Bhaktulatari Parupulata Dhana Shaktiye Uyalata Udavatale Nalugu Nanyamahina Gonusu Lata Sudamudare Sudatulara Sai Babanu. Dr. Kakade was an ardent devotee of Baba of Shirdi. He had several opportunities to have the darshan of Satya Sai Baba, but did not avail any of them, not because he lacked any respect for Satya Sai Baba, but he was focused only on Shirdi Baba. He had Ekanta Bhakti for Shirdi Baba. One day, when he was coming back from his clinic, instead of his usual route, he took a different route and came across a beautiful Shivam temple in the form of Shivalingam. He parked his car on the side and wanted to admire the beauty of the temple. He thought perhaps the followers of Shivaji had built something like this. The next day, Seshagiri Rao, Dr. Kakade's friend and patient, came to the clinic and wanted to rush right after taking the injection. Usually, Seshagiri Rao would sit there and talk to Dr. Kakade for a long time. So Dr. Kakade was curious as to why Seshagiri Rao was in a great hurry today. Seshagiri Rao explained to Dr. Kakade that Satya Sai Baba was coming from Bangalore to inaugurate the Shivam temple that day, and Seshagiri Rao was one of the volunteers and he had a lot of tasks to carry out, so he needed to rush back. Dr. Kakade now connected that the Shivam temple that he saw the previous day was the one that Satya Sai Baba was going to inaugurate. He showed some curiosity, so Seshagiri Rao asked if Dr. Kakade would be interested in going for the inauguration. And Seshagiri Rao asked Dr. Kakade to be there at 4:30 so that Dr. Kakade could be comfortably seated. In his busy schedule, Dr. Kakade completely lost track of his time until 5:15 p.m. He rushed and parked his car in front of the Shivam temple, and he noticed that the newly erected shamiyanas were full of people. The roadside was completely filled with people standing, and in the ocean of heads, he could not spot Seshagiri Rao. So he decided to go through the VIP entrance, and the Sevadals did not stop him. They only requested him to remove his sandals. And Dr. Kakade went to the next door to remove his sandals, and to his delight, he saw Seshagiri Rao standing there adorning an orange scarf. Seshagiri Rao was equally happy to see Dr. Kakade, but was worried as to how he would seat him. It was close to 5:30 p.m. and Baba was about to enter any time. As Baba came from the adjacent compound and went into the Shivam temple, many of his senior devotees followed him along. Seshagiri Rao pushed Dr. Kakade along with that entourage, and Dr. Kakade, with Bhagwan's blessings, got a comfortable seating inside the building. Bhagwan broke coconut on the steps of the temple and inaugurated the temple. Part of the coconut fell into the palms of Dr. Kakade, who was sitting 25 feet away from the steps. People gathered around him and told him how fortunate he was to receive the prasad directly from the hands of Baba. Dr. Kakade was very happy to share the prasad with all the devotees after keeping some for himself and his family. At the end of the program, Seshagiri Rao approached Dr. Kakade and told him how blessed Dr. Kakade was to receive the prasad directly from Bhagwan's hands on the auspicious day of Gudi Padwa, the new year for Dr. Kakade. Dr. Kakade didn't pay much attention to the event, and he went back to his home, and the next day he started the Parayana of Shirdi Sai Satcharitra. Seshagiri Rao saw the doctor at the clinic the next day and presented him with a gift of a book written by Howard Muffet, Baba, Man of Miracles. After doing his Parayana, Dr. Kakade flipped the pages of the book and was curious as to what was in that book. And he landed on the line where the author said that Satya Sai Baba was a reincarnation of Baba of Shirdi. Then Dr. Kakade was curious to see if there was any mention of this reincarnation in the Satcharitra that he was doing Parayanam of. As he got to the 43rd chapter, he saw some reference where Shirdi Baba assured his devotees that he would reincarnate again after 8 years of his Mahasamadhi. Now, Dr. Kakade had a big doubt in his mind. Is it true that Satya Sai Baba and Shirdi Sai Baba are one and the same? He prayed intensely to Shirdi Baba to give him a clear indication. He was having a conversation with Baba, and he thought, since it's almost impossible for anyone to receive Pada Namaskar from Satya Sai Baba, maybe if he got a Pada Namaskar the next day, then he could assume that both the Babas are one and the same. he wanted to add on a little bit more challenge. And he said, since Baba would pick up letters from people randomly, he said, if Baba would pick up a chit from me, then that would be another clear indication. Thus, having conversations with Shirdi Sai Baba, he prayed intensely to him to guide him.
Sai Rama Shirdi, Sai Rama Shirdi, Sai Rama Shirdi, Sai Rama Shirdi, Sai Rama.
Sai Rama Shirdi, Sai Rama Shirdi, Sai Rama Shirdi, Sai Rama Shirdi, Sai Rama.
Rama Avatara, Krishna Avatara, Lata Avatara, Sai Rama.
Avatara, Krishna Avatara, Lata Avatara, Sai Rama.
Akhilanda Koti Brahmanda Nayaka, Sai Rama Shirdi, Sai Rama.
Koti Brahmanda Nayaka, Sai Rama Shirdi, Sai Rama.
Sadguru Sai, Dwarakamai, Shirdi Sai, Sai Rama.
Sadguru Sai, Dwarakamai, Shirdi Sai, Sai Rama.
Sadguru Sai, Dwarakamai, Shirdi Sai, Sai Rama. Shirdi Sai Rama. Tandananayadu, tandanayayadu, tandananayadu, tandanana bala tandanana. Tandananayadu, 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 tandanana bala tandanana. Sai Rama Shirdi, Sai Rama Shirdi, Sai Rama Shirdi, Sai Rama Shirdi, Sai Rama. Sai Rama Shirdi, Sai Rama Shirdi, Sai Rama Shirdi, Sai Rama Shirdi, Sai Rama. Shirdi Sai Rama, Shirdi Sai Rama, Shirdi Sai Rama. Sai Rama. Sai
After praying intensely to Baba to guide him, the next day, Dr. Kakade goes to have darshan of Satya Sai Baba, and he makes sure that he sits in some corner that is absolutely not in the path for Baba to visit with his devotees. And to his utter surprise and delight, Baba directly comes to him and also lifts up his robe, asking Dr. Kakade to take Pada Namaskar. Dr. Kakade takes Pada Namaskar and also gives the chit to Baba, and Baba accepts the same. At that time, Dr. Kakade is completely convinced that Baba of Shiradi and Baba of Puttaparthi are one and the same. He is so delighted that he is having this opportunity to be with Baba for the next few days when he is going to be at Shivam. Dr. Kakade continues to do his Parayanam and also visits Shivam every day, both in the morning and in the evening. Every single day, Baba blesses him with Pada Namaskar. One day, he sits in a remote place and he's concerned that he's going to miss that great opportunity of Pada Namaskar. But Baba climbs up the parapet wall and jumps in front of him and gives him Pada Namaskar. Dr. Kakade is extremely touched by the immense grace that Baba is showering on him. On the final day of the Parayana of the Satcharitra, Dr. Kakade, when he is arriving at the 43rd chapter, he sees a beautiful picture of Shiradi Baba and he bows to him with reverence. At that time, he hears a voice. Are you now convinced that I and Shiradi Baba are one and the same? Are you happy with my avatar? Startled by this voice, Dr. Kakade lifts his head up and Bhagwan is standing right in front of him in a beautiful orange robe in flesh and blood. Dr. Kakade gets Pada Namaskar one more time and he is so happy and thankful and grateful to Bhagavan for fulfilling one of his desires. Whenever Dr. Kakade would do the Parayana of Satcharitra, he would so wish that he was a contemporary of Baba and enjoy the Sparshan and Darshan and Sambhashan. But Baba fulfilled Dr. Kakade's yearning in his next avatar. Thus, Dr. Kakade connected to both forms of Baba, both the avatars of Baba. When Satyam was in high school, as we mentioned earlier, Seshammaraju was always embarrassed and uncomfortable about Satyam's behavior. But the district collector knew and understood Satyam's divinity and insisted that Satyam should be brought on a pilgrimage to Hampi. Reluctantly, Seshammaraju brings Satyam along on that pilgrimage. After reaching the Virupaksha temple at Hampi, Satyam felt somewhat uncomfortable and decided to stay outside in front of the Dvajastambha, and the rest of the pilgrims proceeded inside. When the priest was showing Aarti to the deity, to their surprise, they saw Satyam standing there in the sanctum sanctorum. Seshammaraju was thoroughly embarrassed and completely annoyed with Satyam's cheap tricks. So he rushed out to see if Satyam was still standing there or he sneaked in and got into the sanctum sanctorum. Satyam absolutely was standing in front of the Dvajastambha, gazing at the sky. Then Sesha Maharaj thought, perhaps he is not seen anymore in the Sanctum Sanctorum. So he sent one of the other pilgrims and asked them to find out if they could see Satyam instead of the deity at the Virupaksha temple. And the pilgrims confirmed that Satyam was seen at the Sanctum Sanctorum at the same time that he was outside in front of the Dvajastambha. Thus, Satyam blessed all the pilgrims with the beautiful form of Shiva that they could connect to. One day, Mother Ishwarama was very excited and she wanted to tell a secret to one of her best friends, Sharadamma, or also known as Bettapottu. She told Sharadamma that she's convinced that her Swami is none other than Lord Rama himself. On hearing this, Bettapottu bursted out into laughter. Ishwarama asked as to why Bettapottu was laughing at her words. Bettapottu explained that she was not laughing at Ishwarama's words, but she was very happy for Ishwarama that she got this realization and experience that Swami was none other than Lord Rama himself. Bettapottu asked Ishwarama, "Tell me all about this. I want all the details." Ishwarama was very happy to narrate her experience. She said, "One day, I was not feeling well and I was lying on my bed and I was calling for our Swami. Swami appeared." Bettapottu interrupted and said, "In your dream?" Ishwarama said, No. Swami appeared in real life. And then, as I was watching him, he turned into Lord Rama with a beautiful crown on his face, and a beautiful smile on his face, and with a kodanda in his hand. That form was so beautiful and so majestic and so adorable that I wanted to keep on looking at Lord Rama. I was thinking, when did our Swami become Rama? As I was enjoying the beautiful darshan, Lord Rama became Swami again. After having this beautiful experience, Ishwarama the next day was not feeling that well again, and she called for Swami before Swami could reach her, keeping his name on her lips and the beautiful darshan that she had the previous day of Lord Rama. Ishwarama shed her mortal coils. One time, when Swami Karunyananda was visiting Puttaparthi, Bhagavan asked Swami Karunyananda to accompany him when he was about to retire for the day. Swami Karunyananda hesitated a little bit because he was in the habit of snoring and he didn't want Swami's rest to be disturbed. But Bhagavan insisted, and Swami Karunyananda was excited to be with Bhagavan. Swami lied on his bed and Swami Karunyananda spread a mattress on the floor and lied down as well. Swami Karunyananda knew that this was a precious opportunity that even the sages and the saints would be doing a lot of penance for. he didn't want to waste even a single second by sleeping. He wanted to have Bhagavan's darshan the entire time that he was there. He was going on looking at Bhagavan, and Bhagavan turned into Balakrishna. And that beautiful form of Balakrishna was very dear to Swami Karunyananda. He was adoring the beautiful smile on Krishna. And he was thinking how fortunate Mother Yashoda was to have played with him and to have disciplined him and to have done all kinds of things with Krishna. And he also thought how fortunate the gopis were to have not only spent a lot of time with him, but even when he was away from Gokul, how much they pined for the Lord. Thus, Bhagavan fulfilled Swami Karunyananda's wish to see Lord Krishna. All names and all forms are his. Whenever and whatever form that you think of, Bhagavan appears to you in that form because he is full of love for all of us.
Ramavatara Sai Raghurama Krishna Avatara Sai Ganeshama Shivavatara Sai Shivanama Sarvavatara Satya Sai Rama Jai Sai Ram, Jai Sai Ram. Jai Sai Ram, Jai Sai Ram. Premavatara Sai Avatara
Bhagavan has given us how to connect to Him. Now, in the next few verses of the song given to Vijayamma, Bhagavan says that in the Kali Yuga, if you want to remove negativity, the only thing to do would be to do Namasmarana. He says, when you call upon me, I jump with joy and rush to you like a calf would rush to the mother. I was wondering why Swami was not saying that as a mother cow, he would run to the calf to take care of. But I think Swami wanted to let us all know that he has single focus, undivided attention on any of his devotees, like the calf has only one focus on the mother. Bhagavan says that when you and I connect, when I look at you, I am able to communicate thousands of things to you. And once you understand my divinity, you would not be trapped in illusions, and you would be guided to spirituality and to divinity.
కలియుగమున పుట్టినట్టి కలికాల దేవుడట కలుషములను బాపుడట కరుణా సముద్రుడట భక్తులే చట పిలిచినను పరిపోవుచుండునట గోవు వెంట దూడవోలే దుముకుచును వేలునట కన్నులందున ఎప్పుడు కారుణ్యపు చూపులత ముద్దులొలుకుచుందునట ముచ్చటైన మాటలట వారి మహిమ తెలియక మాయవలలోన చిక్కి మందభాగ్యుల గుట కన్న మంచి దారి దొరికెనట చూపమురారే సురతులార సాయి బాబాను.
Karanam Subbamma, the foster mother of Satyam, stayed at Puttaparthi. One day, Bhagavan told her that she had one more year to live. So, her relatives wanted to spend time with her and took her back to their village. Subbamma couldn't bear the separation from Bhagavan, so she returned to Parthi. Bhagavan promised to her that he would be by her bedside at the time of her death. Bhagavan had to go on a trip, and at that time, Karanam Subbamma's health deteriorated. Within a few hours, she lost consciousness and she breathed her last. The relatives that were gathered there were not happy that Swami was not present as he had promised. After some time, from somewhere, Swami appeared, and all the relatives told him that Karanam Subbamma had passed away a few hours back, and they were keeping her body only for Bhagwan's arrival. Bhagwan assured everyone that Karanam Subbamma was alive. He went closer to her and called her very sweetly, Subhamma, Subhamma, your Swami is here. To everyone's surprise, Subhamma opened her eyes wide and her hands looked for his feet. Bhagwan took the holy water and poured into her parched soul. Saying his name on her lips, having his beautiful image etched in her memory, Karnam Subhamma really breathed her last.
Sai Om, Sai Om, Sai Om. सपन में साई गगन पवन में साई शयन सपन में साई नयन नयन में साई नयन नयन में साई जन्म मरण में साई जन्म मरण में साई साई ओम साई ओम साई ओम
Swami Karunyananda had an ashram in Rajamundry. Once, a pregnant lady approached Swami Karunyananda and asked if she could be helped. Swami Karunyananda immediately made arrangements for some midwives to take care of her. It was not yet time for her to deliver her baby, so the midwives decided to catch a late night show. After they left, the lady developed labor pain and she had such excruciating pain that she started to scream. As she was screaming, she saw a beautiful picture of Baba on the wall and she was crying for help, looking at him on the picture. When the midwives came back from the show, they were astonished that somebody else had done their job. And the mother and the baby were safe. When they asked the lady explained that when she cried for help, the Sadhu Mata from the picture came down and helped her deliver the baby. And the Mata was so compassionate that she even washed the baby and placed the baby next to the mother. the midwives explained to the lady that the Sadhu Mata was none other than the Sai Mata, the Lord Narayana himself. The lady had no words to express her gratitude. Incessant flow of tears came out of her eyes.
अनाथ बंधो साई प्रभु अपराध क्षमा करो साई प्रभु जीव यात्रा में साथ रहो निज प्रेम भक्ति हमको दीजो हृदय मंदिर से मत जाओ अमृत सेवा दीजो प्रभु चरणामृत सेवा दीजो प्रभु अनाथ बंधो साई प्रभु
Once, a cobbler was mending torn sandals on the footpath, and he saw a lot of activity in the adjacent bungalow. Many people were going in, taking baskets of fruits and bouquets of flowers. When they came back out of that bungalow, they were beaming with smile, and they were so happy. They were talking about an incarnation, Baba, and his miracles. The cobbler had an urge to go and get the glimpse of the avatar. He plucked a rose from the garden and inched his way to the front. He peeped inside, and at the same time, Baba peeped out. The eyes met. The cobbler experienced an irresistible feeling of love for Swami. Baba accepted graciously the rose that the cobbler brought and asked him to come near him and asked in his mother tongue, "Kanna, what do you want?" And the cobbler replied, "Will you please visit my hut?" And Baba said, "Definitely." The cobbler was speechless, and he was living in the beautiful experience of sambhashan and darshan that he has got, that he totally forgot to give his address to Bhagavan and also to find out when Bhagavan would grace his hut. He waited for a while for the crowd to go so that he could have another conversation with Bhagavan, but that didn't happen. Cobbler waited for a few more days to see if Baba was visiting the bungalow again. And since Baba didn't visit, he lost all his hope of Bhagavan gracing his hut. Another day, a car sped up very close to where the cobbler was sitting. He thought the cops were going to chase him out. So he quickly collected his belongings and was ready to dash out. And the car stopped right in front of him. And Bhagavan got out of the car and told the cobbler, "Don't be afraid. Come and get inside the car." The cobbler was too stunned to utter a word. He went and sat in the car. And Bhagavan guided the driver to the cobbler's hut. The cobbler got out of the car, went inside and spread a mattress for Bhagavan and rushed out to welcome him. As Bhagavan entered the house, the cobbler realized that he had nothing significant to offer the Lord. He was squeezing his fingers in agony, seeing his plight. Bhagavan told him, I have come here only to give, not to take anything from you but your love. Saying thus, he materialized sweets and distributed to all the people gathered there. He also materialized vibhuti and applied it on the cobbler's forehead and blessed him and his family. As Swami was heading out, he told the cobbler that I am leaving now, but I am always with you. Saying thus, Bhagavan got inside the car and left. Since all of this happened too suddenly, and the beautiful experience that the cobbler had made him spellbound and speechless, the cobbler was extremely indebted to Bhagavan for giving a new meaning to his life. The hut of the cobbler has become a temple now, and even today you can visit this place in Bangalore. Koti pranam, shata koti pranam. He Deenanath Sai Ram. He Deenanath Sai Ram. He Deenanath Sai Ram. तुम हो भक्तों के युगावतार। तुम हो नंदानंद के लाल। पतिपुरी के साई गोपाल। पतिपुरी के साई गोपाल। हे दीननाथ साई राम। हे दीननाथ साई राम। हे दीननाथ साई राम। हे दीननाथ साई राम। कोटि प्रणाम, शतकोटि प्रणाम। One day, when Bhagavan was sitting with students, suddenly he said, "Don't fire! Don't fire!" The students were curious as to what was happening, and Bhagavan told them that they would know in a few days. But he asked them to send a telegram to an army officer in Bhopal stating, "Your instrument is with me. don't worry. Love, Baba. At the same time, in Bhopal, an army officer was extremely dejected and depressed because he was not getting to work on projects that he was interested in. Even though he was a World War veteran, the correct projects were not given to him. He thought that there was no purpose in his life and he wanted to end his life. He tested his revolver and at the same time, he heard a knock at the door. When he hid the revolver and rushed out to open the door, and to his surprise, his very old friend was standing there with the friend's wife and the servant. He asked them in and chatted with them for some time, and the friend wanted to meet with some of their other friends in the colony, so he took leave of the army officer. As soon as they left, the army officer ransacked the whole room looking for his revolver, and he could not find it. After a little while, he heard a knock on the door again, and this time he received a telegram from Baba stating that his revolver was with Baba and he shouldn't have to worry. He was thanking Baba immensely for having saved him from committing sin. The army officer's wife was Baba's devotee, and to fulfill his wife's prayers, Bhagwan appeared in front of the army officer as the army officer's friend's wife, and the servant all at the same time. How blessed this army officer was to receive such compassionate love from Bhagwan.
दया सागरा करुणा करा दया सागरा करुणा करा जगदीश्वरा
Thus, Bhagwan gives us what we need and when we need it, and not necessarily what we want. So far, Bhagavan has told us his mission, how to connect with him, and also what are the benefits of staying connected with him. In the subsequent verses of the celestial song, he says, it is very hard for us not to be distracted by the worldly things. That's why he materializes Vibhuti to remind us that this body, one day or the other, would become those ashes. So, there is no point in being attached to this body. No matter whatever worldly tasks you have, if you keep your focus on the Lord, either by visiting any of the divine kshetras or by namasmarana, you are certain to be on the spiritual path. Once you know this, you will also realize that you are not the body, you are not the mind, you are not the thoughts, and you are not even the emotions. And then you would realize the divinity that's within you.
Tanu talachinantane vibhuti tana hastamudha gurunata takshanamuna dhanithisi kalladillade vari kosagunata enni panulundi nanu dandiga Shri Sai Naduni nelavunaku pattu vidaga sagipodumu randi randi meeru ramyamaina partipuriki shringari chinati saini చుక్కులలగా చూడబోదము తెలివిలేని ఊరులార తెలివిలేని మూడులార తెలివి తెచ్చుకొని నేడు తరలి తరలి వేగమీరు తరలి రెండు పతిపురికి చూతామురారే సుదతులార సాయి బాబాను.
Once, there was a tribal leader in Arunachal Pradesh, and he had an illness that the hospitals in Kolkata and New Delhi could not diagnose what the problem was. The then Home Secretary, Sri Raja, thought only the divine intervention could help. So he brought 29 tribal members from Arunachal Pradesh to Puttaparthi to have Baba's darshan. Baba not only gave them beautiful darshan, but gave them an interview. In the interview room, the tribal leader explained as to how he has been suffering from this illness and nobody knows what the cure is or what the disease is. Swami materialized Vibhuti for him and asked him to have it then and there. The tribal leader obeyed Swami. Swami also spoke to all the members about the temple that they were planning to build for the sun and the moon. He materialized a copper plate with the inscription of sun and moon and gave it to them and asked them to install the plate while they were building the temple. The tribal members were extremely happy to have had such a beautiful darshan and interaction with Bhagavan. After the interview, they headed towards the breakfast area. The tribal leader saw idlis and wanted to eat them. The rest of the members were not sure if it was a good idea or not, but they decided to let him eat because they were in the divine premises of Puttaparthi. The tribal leader ate 2 idlis and asked for 1 more plate. And after finishing that, asked for 1 more. Like this, he ate 32 idlis all in one stretch. Then the tribal members knew the potency of the vibhuti that was given by Baba. They also understood the divinity of Baba and followed every instruction that Baba gave to them to the T while they were building the temple Dunapolo. At another time, there was a businessman in Canada in the name of Patterson, and he visited Dr. Balakrishna's residence. Dr. Balakrishna is the son of Dr. Bhagavantam. Dr. Balakrishna had a beautiful altar of Baba, and Patterson was curious to know more about Baba, and Dr. Balakrishna explained to him that this was the Lord incarnate right now living in Puttaparthi. Patterson wanted to have a memento to remember Bhagavan by. Dr. Balakrishna gave him a packet of vibhuti. On opening it, Patterson asked him, "Are you giving me ashes?" And Dr. Balakrishna assured him that those were no ordinary ashes. They had the potency to fulfill any wish. And he further added that in times of difficulty, if Patterson wanted, he could take a dash of vibhuti and put it in his mouth, and everything would be cleared for him. With this belief, Patterson took the vibhuti and put it in his bag. He went to the airport to catch his flight to New York. In his first leg, there were a lot of children and they were making a lot of noise, and so Patterson could not rest in peace. He was wishing that at least his next leg, he would have a comfortable journey. As he was thinking about it, he was reminded of what Dr. Balakrishna told him about the vibhuti. So he took a dash of vibhuti and put it in his mouth. After he deplaned, he heard his name in the public announcement system. He went to the ticket counter and the agent told him that he has been upgraded to first class. Patterson found no joy, found no end to the joy, and he was looking forward to his onward journey. He opened up his wallet and he was ready to pay the difference in the fare. The agent told him that it's already been taken care of, and Patterson only had to take his bags and board the plane. Thus, Patterson realized the potency of Baba's vibhuti. Sharadamma, or Bedapottu, was married at a very young age, and she had 6 male children, and all of them died within 3 years. She could bear no more children, so she agreed to her husband marrying another woman. After some time, she decided that she was not finding this worldly life peaceful, so she decided to move to Shirdi. After all, she was born out of blessing from Shirdi Baba. Shirdi Baba used to call her Gauri. One day, she called her and told her a secret and not to reveal that to anyone. Baba told her that he would reincarnate again after 8 years of his Mahasamadhi in Andhra Pradesh, and Sharadamma would be blessed to have proximity and interactions and blessings from that avatar as well. After Shirdi Baba's Mahasamadhi, Sharadamma decided to go to the hills of Dwaraka to meditate. She has been longing for mantropadesh, so she prayed to the Lord to give her the mantropadesh. The Sadguru in the hills of Dwaraka approached her and asked her as to why she was so sad. And she said, I have been here for some time, but the omniscient one, if you are not paying attention to me, who else will? He asks her to go and take a dip in the river and gives her mantropadesh. She meditates in those hills for many years and serves the holy men. But one day, the Sadguru calls her and says, the Lord that you're worshipping has reincarnated in Andhra Pradesh, and it's time for you to go there. Sharadamma was somewhat reluctant because she was enjoying the serenity and the tranquility meditating in the hills of Dwaraka, and she didn't want to part with it. But she obeyed the Guru's order and left for Hyderabad. She started an ashram for the destitute children in Hyderabad, and from time to time, to maintain that ashram, she would do Harikatha and raise funds. One time, she did Harikatha in Urvakanda, and the host had a beautiful picture of a holy man. Sharadamma asked the host about the holy man, and the next day, the host took Sharadamma to have Satya Sai Baba's darshan. By this time, Sharadamma had forgotten about the secret that Shirdi Baba had told her. But Baba, Satya Sai Baba, went to Sharadamma and called her, Gauri, you owe me 16 rupees. You collected 40 rupees to send to me, but you only sent 24. Where are my 16 rupees? Then Sharadamma realized that Satya Sai Baba was the reincarnation of her beloved Baba of Shirdi. From that time onwards, she spent a long time at a stretch in Puttaparthi to soak in the divinity of Satya Sai Baba and to receive his blessings. After 17 years, Baba asked her to move to Puttaparthi permanently, and Sharadamma served Baba's Satya Sai Seva organization. She was the head of the disciplinary squad. One day, when Baba was in Vrindavan, she had to take care of disciplining the crowd when the Bhajan practice was going on in the Mandir hall. She was not at all feeling well. As she was sitting, she saw Baba signing to her to go to him. She thought she was hallucinating. So she looked away from him and looked again, and she heard him call her. She realized that her ears couldn't fail her, so she went closer to him and took Padanamaskar from him and received a packet of vibhuti. By this time, all the ladies gathered around her and asked her as to what was going on. She explained to them that she had a Padanamaskar from Bhagwan and also received a packet of vibhuti. Some of them thought Sharadamma was extremely blessed to have Bhagavan's darshan at Puttaparthi when indeed he was in Vrindavan. But some others thought that she was delusional and mental. In any case, Sharadamma took the vibhuti packet and put it in her mouth. Then she felt fit again. A couple of days later, she had a pounding ache in her eyes. She could not do her duty at all. She decided to go to Bangalore to see Bhagwan and get healed from her. When Bhagwan saw her at Vrindavan, he asked her, "Why are you here instead of being at Puttaparthi and doing your duty?" And Sharadamma explained to Bhagwan, "I have no one else to go to. I have nowhere else to go to. I'm having this terrible pain in my eyes. I have come here for you to heal me." Bhagwan materialized vibhuti and poured it into her eyes and asked her to take rest as long as she wanted. And the next day, when Sharadamma woke up, the eye pain was gone and she was completely healed.
माधवा केशवा ओ मेरे आत्मा राम माधवा केशवा ओ मेरे आत्मा
Sharadamma was blessed to have darshan, sparshan and sambhashan with both the avatars. When a lotus wants to grow, it draws all its nutrients from the mud. But after the leaf comes out, it has to stay above the water. And then a flower grows, and upon receiving the sunshine, the flower blossoms. The same way, Sharadamma had a lot of difficulties in her life. She stayed above them, thinking only of Bhagwan and the sunshine Both the avatars helped her blossom as a lotus flower. So far, Bhagwan has told us his mission, how to connect to him, what are the benefits, and how to stay connected to him all the time. In the next few verses, he talks about how to become an instrument for him. Bhagwan, in those days, in the 1940s, used to perform an act where he would take a lump of sand and hold it in his hand and close his hand. When he opens it, hot laddus would come out of his hands. People thought he was a magician, or maybe a hypnotist, or maybe someone exercising witchcraft. The Kuppam family had enough of these comments, but their devotion, their steadfast devotion to Bhagwan did not make them pay any heed to any of these comments. Singing his name and doing his work, they always understood his divinity. And Bhagwan blessed the family with a lot of things. And Vijayakumari Amma was indeed blessed to share all these experiences with Bhagwan in a book titled Anyatha Sharanam Nasti. And Bhagwan has recommended for all the Telugu speaking people that they should keep the Telugu copy in their household, and definitely they would see nothing but auspicious events happening in their household. Thus, Vijayakumari Amma became a beautiful instrument for Bhagwan.
ముసి ముసి నవ్వుతోను ముదైన సుఖనీడు ముసి చూడగనే హరియో లడే క్రింద పడి మంత్రతంత్రమనుచు కొందరు మందవాగ్యులను కొందరు మతిలే
Once, Satyam's friends caught a dozen frogs in a basket and wanted to play with them. Satyam knew that they would torture those frogs, so asked them to release the frogs. The friends were adamant that they wouldn't release. After a few minutes, Satyam told them that there were no frogs in the basket, and his friends mocked at him and said, "Oh, maybe the frogs grew wings and flew away." They opened the basket and 12 pigeons flew out of the basket and flew into the sky, soaring to new heights. Bhagwan wants all of us frogs to come out of our well and be transformed into pigeons, soaring to new heights. Michael McCarthy is a very fortunate and blessed soul to have been transformed in the hands of Baba. Michael is from the Chicago area. He was a drug dealer. He was a drug addict. And he also helped out in detoxing people who use drugs. Once, he decided to go on a worldwide tour to all the drug capitals. He wanted to stop by first in Sri Lanka to learn how to do acupuncture to detox. On his way to Sri Lanka, he stopped by in San Francisco and met a friend of his, and his friend recommended to him that he should go to Parthi if he was going to India and have Baba's darshan. Usually, if you talked anything about spirituality or about God, you had to take that matter outside of his house. But this time, Michael listened, but moved on. When he was in Sri Lanka, one of his classmates was an ardent devotee of Baba, and she had a beautiful picture of Baba in her room. When Michael saw the picture, he thought, who is his brother? And why is she praying to him? And the lady explained to Michael that Baba was the Lord incarnate living in Puttaparthi, doing a lot of miracles and transformations and helping many people all over the world. Michael listened to this also, but didn't pay much attention. He landed in Chennai after his coursework in Sri Lanka, and he wanted to meet with one of his classmates who was then living in Kerala. He thought on the way to Kerala, he could stop by at Bangalore and check out Baba. He boarded the train. As soon as he got into the train, he had a high fever. And in that fever, he could think and hear only of Baba. He was going on hearing Baba anywhere he turned. He got off the train and found out that Baba was at Parthi. So he took a cab to go to Parthi. As he reached the arch of the Sarvadharma symbol, he remembered that he had told his friends that on this trip, he's supposed to find out something big, and until he found out that, he wouldn't return to Chicago. When he saw the stupa, the Sarvadharma symbol, he knew that he was about to find that something right here at Puttaparthi. He checked himself at the ashram, and he also got oriented about the darshan. On the first day, he got the first row. He sat in for darshan, and Swami came straight to him and looked him deeply in his eyes. Since Michael thought that he had to look Baba in his eyes and tell if Baba was real or not to the entire world, Baba fulfilled his wish by looking straight into his eyes and telling him that Baba was the Lord incarnate standing in front of him. Michael also got interviewed. In the interview room, Michael saw Baba materializing several things, medallions, rings, japamala, and Michael also got the medallion and a ring. Baba seemed to know everything about everyone, and he was asking about somebody's mother, father, sister, brother. This made Michael realize that Baba was not only omnipotent, but was also omniscient. Michael got to have a one-on-one interview with Baba. And in that interview, Baba spoke to Michael at length about all the things about him, even the things that Michael wanted to forget. Baba assured him that he would guide Michael every step of the way and make him get out of his bad habits. Upon Baba's order, Michael left to return home. He stayed in Bangalore, and when he was at the hotel, he didn't know how to conduct himself. When he was at the ashram, some hand was guiding him to do all the right things. But here in Bangalore, he wanted to get back to the old Mike. So he went to the balcony to smoke a joint. When he looked up, he saw a huge image of Baba from the ground to the sky, staring at him. And several of the deities were looking at Baba, and Jesus Christ was one of them as well. This image lasted for 5 minutes for Michael. Michael thought that maybe everybody else on the road also could see this image. But no, Michael was a special one to receive Baba's darshan like that. Michael understood what Baba meant by telling Michael that he would visit with Michael again. That was the end of the joint. Michael went back inside the room, and he had several magazines that were not for any human eyes. He tore all of them into small pieces and put it in the trash. For 3 days, he kept on seeing Jesus Christ's image wherever he turned. Thus, Baba started to work from within. Michael stopped all his bad habits for a month. Then he needed Baba's help. Somewhere he had read that Baba had told one of the devotees that if he wanted to drink alcohol, drink, but offer it to me and I will take care of everything. So Michael, whenever he did a drug deal, he offered it to Baba. Whenever he smoked a joint, he offered that also to Baba. This went on for a while. Michael, instead of making money out of the drug deals, was losing terribly. One day, he called his drug dealer and said, "I am not sure if I'm going to be able to repay you or when I'm going to be able to repay you. But I am losing a lot of money in this. So I want to quit being a drug dealer." Only because of Baba's grace, the drug dealer agrees. And that was the end of Michael as a drug dealer. Michael was put into several trials and tribulations along the way. And one time, when he was in LA, after returning from Bhajan's, he was waiting at the bus stop for his bus. He was dejected and depressed and despondent because he had no house, he had absolutely no money, he had no job, and he had no transportation. From nowhere, a paper flew in front of him, and it read, "Smile, God loves you." And that was a turning point. The best employment agent in the world, Baba, got him a job as a professional storyteller. Today, Michael goes around all over the country telling stories, especially at the detox clinics. He shares his experience and he helps them get out of those bad habits. Now, Michael's life is Swami's message.
बोलो जय जयकार, बोलो जय जयकार, बोलो जय जयकार, बोलो जय जयकार, बोलो जय जयकार साईं बाबा की, बोलो जय जयकार साईं बाबा की, पतित पावना हे घनश्यामा, साई गोपाला हे घनश्यामा, प्रेम भगवान साई भगवान, प्रेम भगवान सत्य साई भगवान, साई राम साई राम, साई राम साई राम, साई राम साई राम, बोलो जय जयकार, बोलो जय जयकार।
Once, all the vegetables had a conference and wanted to find out which one of them was the best. They invited Lord Shiva, Brahma, and Vishnu as judges. After a long presentation, the judges arrived at a conclusion. Lord Brahma was pleased with his vegetable that he gave his beard to it. Lord Vishnu told the vegetable that when it is cut horizontally and vertically, that one would see Lord Vishnu's insignia, Shankha and Chakra in it. And Lord Shiva gave a boon to that vegetable that whoever hurts that vegetable would absolutely be in tears. And all the other vegetables were wondering as to why this particular vegetable was picked as the best. The judges explained that onion was the best vegetable because it retained its property no matter what the circumstances were, where it was. All of us should be like that onion and realize the self within us. So we pray to Bhagavan that He would light the lamp of love in all of us, and together we would serve Him and be His divine instruments.
अंतर ज्योति जलावो साई, अंतर ज्योति जलावो साई, ब्रह्म सनातनि दया करो, ब्रह्म सनातनि दया करो, शिवशक्ति मयि कृपा करो शिवशक्ति मयि कृपा करो दीन जनावनि पतित पावनी दीन जनावनि पतित पावनी साई जग जननी रक्षा करो साई जग जननी रक्षा करो अंतर ज्योति जलाओ साई.
In the concluding verses of the celestial song, Bhagavan says, whoever sings this song or listens to this with all earnestness, I would appear to them in the form of divine light, Paranjyoti.
అవనిలో ఈ పాటనెవరు పాడినను వినినను గానే పరమేశుడచట వచ్చి పరంజ్యోతి రూపు చూపు జయ జయ మంగళమిదే సాయి శుభమంగళంబు నీకు జయ జయ మంగళమిదే సాయి శుభమంగళంబు నీకు సర్వమంగళంబు నీకు సాయినాథ
సాయినాథ
సాయినాథ సాయినాథ గైకొను నడ సర్వమంగళంబు నీకు సాయినాథ గైకొను నడ సాయినాథ గైకొను నడ సాయినాథ గైకొను నడ మంగళం గురుదేవాయ మంగళం జ్ఞానదాయినే మంగళం పర్తివాసాయ మంగళం సత్యసాయినే మంగళం సత్యసాయినే మంగళం సత్యసాయినే ॐ जय जगदीश हरे स्वामी सत्य साई हरे भक्त जना संरक्षक भक्त जना संरक्षक पति महेश्वरा ॐ जय जगदीश हरे शशिवदना श्रीकरा सर्व प्राणपदे स्वामी सर्व प्राणपदे आश्रित कल्पलदिका आश्रित कल्पलदिका आपत्तानवा ॐ जय जगदीश हरे माता पिता गुरुदैवವು ಮರಿಯಂತಯು ನೀವೇ ಸ್ವಾಮಿ ಮರಿಯಂತಯು ನೀವೇ ನಾದ ಬ್ರಹ್ಮ ಜಗನ್ನಾಥ ನಾದ ಬ್ರಹ್ಮ ಜಗನ್ನಾಥ ನಾಗೇಂದ್ರ ಶಯನ ಓಂ ಜಯ ಜಗದೀಶ ಹರೇ ಓಂಕಾರ ರೂಪ ಓಜಸ್ವಿವಂ ಸಾಯಿ ಮಹಾದೇವ ಸತ್ಯ ಸಾಯಿ ಮಹಾದೇವ ಮಂಗಳ ಆರತಿ ಅಂದುಕ ಮಂಗಳ ಆರತಿ ಅಂದುಕ ಮಂದರ ಗಿರಿಧಾರಿ ಓಂ ಜಯ ಜಗದೀಶ ಹರೇ ನಾರಾಯಣ ನಾರಾಯಣ ಓಂ ಸತ್ಯ ನಾರಾಯಣ 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 ಓಂ ನಾರಾಯಣ ನಾರಾಯಣ ಓಂ ಸತ್ಯ ನಾರಾಯಣ ನಾರಾಯಣ ಓಂ ಸತ್ಯ ನಾರಾಯಣ ನಾರಾಯಣ ಓಂ ಜಯ ಸದ್ಗುರುದೇವ ನಾರಾಯಣ ನಾರಾಯಣ ಓಂ ಸತ್ಯ ನಾರಾಯಣ 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 ಓಂ ನಾರಾಯಣ ನಾರಾಯಣ ಓಂ ಸತ್ಯ ನಾರಾಯಣ ನಾರಾಯಣ ಓಂ ಸತ್ಯ ನಾರಾಯಣ ನಾರಾಯಣ ಓಂ ಜಯ ಸದ್ಗುರುದೇವ ನಾರಾಯಣ ನಾರಾಯಣ ಓಂ ಸತ್ಯ ನಾರಾಯಣ 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 ಓಂ ನಾರಾಯಣ ನಾರಾಯಣ ಓಂ ಸತ್ಯ ನಾರಾಯಣ ನಾರಾಯಣ ಓಂ ನಾರಾಯಣ ನಾರಾಯಣ ಓಂ ಜಯ ಸದ್ಗುರುದೇವ ಶಾಂತಿ 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 ಸಮಸ್ತ ಲೋಕ ಸುಖಿನೋ ಭವಂತು ಸಮಸ್ತ ಲೋಕ ಸುಖಿನೋ ಭವಂತು ಸಮಸ್ತ ಲೋಕ ಸುಖಿನೋ ಭವಂತು ಓಂ ಶಾಂತಿ 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 परमं पवित्रं बाबा विभूति परमं विचित्रं लीला विभूति परमार्थ इष्टार्थ मोक्षप्रदानं बाबा विभूतिं इदमाश्रयामि परमं पवित्रं बाबा विभूतिं परमं विचित्रं लीला विभूतिं परमार्थ इष्टार्थ मोक्षप्रदानं बाबा विभूतिं इदमाश्रयामि शांति शांति शांति
Sai Ram, my humblest of humble pranams at the divine lotus feet of Bhagavan. Thank you, Swami. After listening to these wonderful leelas and the enchanting program, right now I'm speechless. And I'm sure you all agree. We were in a completely different plane. And it's hard to come back to the real world right now. And I just wanted to thank Swami for bringing us all together here. It is the beautiful experience. And I want to thank all our performers here on behalf of the Cupertino Bhajan group. And give them a big hand. Every one of them is not a stranger to anybody. They have taken the time out of their busy schedule and give us this spiritual feast. And it's totally a feast that, it's a privilege to be here. That's all I can say. And I just want to thank Sudha for spearheading this Harikatha and all the supporting singers and instrumentalists. Thank you so much. I just want to quote a couple of things in Shri Sai Charita. Shri Hemadband says that for those of us, I'm paraphrasing what he said, for those of us who we are fortunate enough to see Baba when he was living, can get the same feeling by listening to his leelas. And what better way, after almost 100 years, get that same feeling about Swami than listening to this kind of a program. Thank you all. Thank you all for coming. And one more thing I want to paraphrase Hemad Bant again. And he says that a spiritual feast or any feast is not complete unless we share with our family and friends. And thank you all for coming and sharing this beautiful spiritual feast with us on behalf of the Cupertino Bhajan group. And just wanted to mention a couple of lines about the Cupertino Bhajan group. We all started as a bunch of moms who have time during the day, wanted to learn bhajans. Many of us, including myself, didn't have the courage to sing in public, lead bhajans. But a lot of them, I have to say, were very good singers and they wanted to learn more. So we all approached Usha. And Usha is so gracious. She can never say no, especially when it comes to Sai and bhajans. So she agreed. She opened the door for us. And we meet every Wednesday and sometimes more. And she has been so patient, dedicated, and supportive that every one of us are actually leading bhajans. And it is not possible without a patience and support of somebody like Usha. When we started, we didn't know where our scales were, how we were going to do. We still don't know, but we know that Usha is there to figure out everything for us and give it to us. And quickly a joke, when I first started practicing bhajans, my kids would say, "Mom, can you please do that after we all leave?" And the other day, my son came and said, "Hey, Mom, not bad. You're getting good." So thanks to Usha, we've all become pretty good singers, I would assume. And the highlight is we were asked to perform in front of Baba in the Shirdi Sai Darbar, and we did it last year. And that is the highlight of our Cupertino Bhajan group. and once again, that means that Swami has approved. So thank you. Thank you so much for coming. And if anybody has any questions, would like to join us, please talk to Usha. Her door is open and her heart is very big. Thank you, Usha. And one last thing, along with the spiritual feast, the Cupertino Bhajan group volunteers have also prepared prasadam feast. Please partake that before you leave. Thank you so much. Sai Ram.
ब्रह्मार्पणं ब्रह्महविर्
ब्रह्माग्नो ब्रह्मणाहुतं
ब्रह्मैव तेन